Imagine being caught in a moment so awkward and surreal that it feels like the universe is playing a cruel trick on you. That was his reality, a student trying to live a quiet, ordinary life, suddenly thrust into situations that defied all logic. It started innocently enough, a simple day at school, blending into the background as he always did. But fate had other plans. A series of chance encounters began to weave an intricate web of chaos and hilarity that he could never have predicted. Each time, it seemed the world conspired to throw him into impossible, often embarrassing situations, always centered around someone he least expected, his teacher. The first incident felt like an accident. He had gone about his usual routine, only to find himself in a situation that left him frozen with disbelief. She was there, his teacher, caught in a moment that was both absurd and utterly unforgettable. Their eyes met, and the silence between them spoke volumes. The awkwardness hung heavy in the air, but before either could process what had happened, circumstances spiraled further out of control. What were the chances? It felt as though the universe had a twisted sense of humor, binding their paths together in the most unexpected ways. As days turned into weeks, these encounters became more frequent, each more bizarre than the last. Whether it was a chance meeting in the wrong place at the wrong time, or a misstep that led to yet another outrageous situation, he began to see a pattern forming. She was always composed, exuding authority and professionalism in the classroom. But outside those walls, life seemed determined to strip away her dignity at every turn, and he was always there to witness it. Why him? Why her? The questions burned in his mind, but answers remained elusive. Was it coincidence, or was something larger at play, pushing them together? Beneath her stern exterior, he began to notice something he hadn't before, a vulnerability that made her more human. Each encounter revealed fragments of her personality that were hidden from the classroom. He saw her as more than just a teacher. She was someone with her own struggles, her own moments of weakness. And though the situations were far from ideal, they gave him glimpses into her life that few others ever saw. But was it right to witness these moments? He couldn't shake the feeling that he was treading a fine line between chance and intrusion. These moments weren't just awkward. They were secrets they both carried in silence. Neither dared to speak of them. Neither dared to acknowledge the unspoken connection growing between them. For him, it was a whirlwind of emotions, embarrassment, confusion, and a strange sense of responsibility. For her, it was likely a constant battle to maintain her composure and her reputation. The weight of these secrets grew heavier with each passing day. Could they continue to pretend nothing had happened, or would the mounting tension eventually force them to confront the truth? As their encounters grew more frequent and unpredictable, a question began to form in his mind. Was this just bad luck, or was it something more? The thought consumed him. He replayed every moment, trying to make sense of the absurdity, yet no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't escape the nagging feeling that their lives were inexplicably intertwined. But what did it mean? Was this a test of patience, a lesson in humility, or something far beyond his understanding? One day, in the quiet aftermath of yet another chaotic encounter, he found himself reflecting on everything that had happened. Despite the embarrassment and the frustration, he couldn't deny that these moments had changed him. They had forced him out of his comfort zone, made him question his assumptions, and even brought unexpected laughter into his life. Could it be that these experiences, as ridiculous as they were, had a purpose? Or was he simply trying to find meaning in a series of unfortunate events? Through it all, an unspoken bond began to form between them. It wasn't something they could acknowledge openly, but it was there, in the stolen glances, the shared silences, and the mutual understanding that grew with each encounter. She was no longer just his teacher, and he was no longer just her student. Their lives had become entangled in ways neither could have predicted, creating a connection that defied explanation. But what would come of it? Could they maintain this fragile balance, or would the weight of their shared experiences eventually break them? The future remained uncertain. Every day brought the possibility of yet another unexpected encounter, another moment of chaos that would test their resolve. He didn't know what lay ahead, but one thing was clear: his life would never return to the simplicity it once had. And perhaps, deep down, he didn't want it to. As for her, she carried on with her usual grace, but there was a glimmer in her eyes that hinted at something more, a recognition of the strange and unbreakable bond they shared. Would they ever find peace in this whirlwind of chaos, or were they destined to navigate this peculiar dance forever? As the story reached a tipping point, the only certainty was uncertainty itself. What new twist of fate awaited them, and would they ever find the answers to the questions that lingered in their minds? For now, all they could do was brace themselves for whatever came next, knowing that their lives were forever changed by the strange, unpredictable force that brought them together.